Yeah, of course, Lordo's Deep Dive brought to you by our great friends at Unique Wrought Iron, where thousands of Aussies go to make their unique improvements to their homes each and every day, each and every week, each and every month. And, of course, during lockdown, what better time than to log online and have a look for yourself, Lloyd?
Being the Doug Nicholls round, TJ, we thought we'd celebrate the wonderful Indigenous players we've had over the years. You know, they've just been brilliant. I remember idolising the Cracker brothers growing up, and so we're going to celebrate them. And first, take a look at their great marks, their great goals and their great bumps, and the best players we've had. And the first one I want to look at is Ashley Sampi. Way back in 2004, this one, mark of the year.
It's a double ride.
Unbelievable this was, Bill.
Double one. See that? He gets there and then he gets a nice little bang again. Oh,
double lifter.
Yeah, double lifter.
Amazing mark, but that kicks us off, and you've got a good one, TJ, as well.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, they're all good, aren't they? But this one, Andrew Cracker, was very much the comeback kid on this occasion in 2011, and that is just a superb mark, which ended up getting Mark of the Year, which was a little sort of controversial, if I can sort of put a damper on it.
Who was up against?
Andrew Walker?
Yeah. Ah, yes.
Yeah, so, but you can't take anything away from that. I mean, the son of Jimmy, just an outstanding footballer and an outstanding mark.
And what about Liam Ryan? I reckon he's got the highlight package of all time already. Just the build-up to this particular mark that he ultimately takes over Maxi Gawn. You can see him already in the passage of play. He's running probably 85 metres, Bill, to get back into the goal square. And watch him come from the side here to launch and take one of the all-time greats.
Great.
Good call from BT.
Thanks, Kane. Good call.
I think Nathan was going to redo it to see if he could do it any better.
That was the mark of the years, of course. Let's have a look at the goal of the years here, 2004. What about Daniel Wells? Look at this, Jackie Chan. Bang! How good was that? All in one movement. They grab the ball and kick it in mid-air. That is unbelievable. What a player Daniel Wells was.
He was a great player, Bill, and it was in happier times for North Melbourne. But just on goals, goal of the year, we had it in our quiz here with Nathan Brown. Eddie Betts won goal of the year 4 times so far, and some of these ones, way back even his early Carlton days, he just has done things that nobody else can do on an AFL ground. I think his highlights package would be as good as any player in the games with his goal-kicking ability, and he did some wonderful things for Carlton. Then he hit his prime at Adelaide. Some of his football at Adelaide.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that, the Eddie pocket.
How do you do that?
Is sensational. The joy Kane has brought to Adelaide fans is amazing.
Yeah, I think he's the second biggest name to play in Adelaide behind Tony Modra, and that's saying something, because Modra was like a god over there in the early 90s.
This was his favourite.
Yeah,
and then in the non-Eddie pocket too, Lloyd.
And he had the Indigenous jumper on then, and I heard him say the other night that's his favourite goal.
Yeah, can I just say, I hadn't had a lot to do with Eddie Betts up until this week. Did a story out at Princess Park with Sid Jackson and Eddie. He's just a genuinely lovely bloke, isn't he? Eddie Betts.
Smiles the whole time.
Obviously. But, Eddie, I hadn't had a lot to do with him, but, geez, I came away with a great impression.
If he's the most watchable, then what is this guy? Because Sirioli, just as good as Eddie Betts. And this is goal of the year dating back to 2009. Have a look at that. Just the step out, the handball to Bateman, gets it back, and then on the left. That is as good a goal as you get, Cyril.
Got around Lordo pretty easy there. But when you only call one name, Cyril, you're pretty good, aren't you?
Yes.
Everyone knows him as Cyril.
Yeah, well, there's not too many people who actually are referred to by just their first name, and people know who. Well, Billy?
No, but Cyril is certainly one. There's
Eddie?
Which Eddie would you say?
Maguire?
Right.
Neil?
You walked
Kane.
You walk taller when you played alongside this guy, and often you'd get the tagging role, Lordo, and Byron Pickett would come up to me before the game and he'd say, "Who are you playing on? Who do you want me to get today?" Now, clearly the game has changed a lot and for the better, but at this time these rules were legal. Like, that wasn't reportable, that wasn't a free kick against, and neither was this, but just a hard player who attacked the ball and attacked the body. But I think what's overlooked, because we see these sorts of highlights, is just his explosive ability to kick goals, and in big moments and in big games. And I speak about the 2004 grand final Norm Smith medalist. He was just enormous, just a great player, and often we show those bits, but his brilliance also can get overlooked.
Yeah, and prior to that, grand final performance was also good for North, wasn't he too, Kane? Speaking of bumps, Sydney Stack, when he was starting his AFL career, decided to take on one of the real hard men in Jack Viney there, Bill, and cleaned him up in one of his early stages of his career, and it just, I suppose, let everyone know that this guy wasn't just a flair player, that he had the toughs as well, and look, let's hope he can still make an impact in the AFL.
Hey, this is great. Come on, keep it going.
We're going to keep it going, Brad. We've gone through the highlights. Now we're going to go through our panels. Best 5 modern-day Indigenous players, Brownie.
So we all put our heads together and we came up with the top 5. At number 5 is Shawn Burgoyne. Ooh. Still playing Shawn Burgoyne. Have a listen to this. 396 games, 4 premierships, an All-Australian. And when your nickname's Silk, that suggests that you can use the ball very, very well. So many big moments, particularly at Hawthorn against the Cats and against Sydney. When he needed to step up, he did. What a player.
Yeah, unbelievable and just selfless as well. Like Eddie Betts, no one would ever say a bad word about Shawn Burgoyne. Unbelievable team, man. Buddy Franklin will be a legend in the Hall of Fame. I got no doubt about that, Bill. I think he has changed the game from the vision that we're seeing here at Hawthorn to him still kicking 6 goals last week. Sorry, Hooksy. We had to, but it's one of the best goals you've ever seen. So, bums on seats, highlights, and, you know, which highlights would you take? Would you take Buddy's or Eddie's? It'd be a tough call to make. But in big games also, he stood up, and whilst he hasn't got a premiership at Sydney, he got them pretty close, and he's still doing Buddy things. So, a legend, perhaps in 20, 25 years' time in the Hall of Fame.
Lord, I remember going out to Windy Hill years and years ago with Lou Richards to do a story, and was it Roger Hampson, the general manager? Right. He said, come into the office, Lou, and have a look at this bloke. So he put a VHS in the machine, and it was this bloke running around with Port Adelaide in the Sandful, and it ended up being this particular recruit for Essendon, and they never looked back, did they? Gavin Wanganit, who comes in at number 3, as Nathan told us in his quiz, 300 games, 2 premierships, a Hall of Famer, a Brownlow medalist. Need you say more? Tough. And it was 2 states that got the benefit of his beautiful skills, really, in Victoria and also South Australia, which is where he finished his career. And I just think he was an out and out champion.
It's a great goal, that on the
right to the very end too, TJ, wasn't it? Right to the very last game in that grand final that came, buddy.
What was he like as a bloke?
Very quiet.
The best.
Yep. Yeah. What's that, Kate?
Just humble, quiet, humble, and he was captain of Port Adelaide. Didn't quite sit well with him, the captaincy, but just a lot of fun around the change rooms. Very, very humble person, is Gav.
Well, I'm like you. I wanted the Cracker brothers to be in this list. Unfortunately, they haven't made the cut, but someone who has to be on it is Andrew McLeod, who in 1997 and 98 came of age, obviously, with back-to-back Norm Smith medal appearances. But he did it a long time before that and did it for a long time after it in terms of the impact that he had on not just his own football team, but the entire competition. Probably revolutionised it in some ways, Bill, in the way he ran off half-bank, but could also do it at the other end of the ground when required, at key times. And there's probably been no one more polished. There might be people equally as polished, but no one more polished in the key moments than that man there.
I'm with you, Damo. I think that through that period of time, he was just so destructive. You had to sit on Andrew McLeod, otherwise you'd be cut to ribbons. And not number one, but our last player we want to recognise is Adam Goodes, and I reckon somehow he's underrated. I think his career is underrated for how good he was.
Extraordinary talent.
We don't talk about Adam Goodes like we might have Franklin.
He played everywhere.
He played everywhere. His record, 372 games, 464 goals. He won the Rising Star, 2 Brownlows, 2 premierships, 4 All-Australians. He could play in any role.
And look, one of Brownlow as a midfielder, one of Brownlow as a ruckman when his knee didn't allow him, before his knee didn't allow him to play as a ruckman.
Famous goal, that one. Yeah. He was on one leg, and look at the scoreboard, point up, gets them to 7 points up, and celebrates with another premiership. And I hope we win him back to the game, I think, TJ, whether he can come back and say to himself, you know what, I had some great times, and I'll try and move on from those other times. It'd be great for the game and Adam Goodes, I think.